Oh my God. Okay. I don't know where I put the Zoom. You guys in here? Hello? I don't like to be in the dark by myself. Someone, okay. Is everybody, are you guys in here? Okay, let's see. All right. Oh no, I just spilled. Dang it. Hey, everybody. Hi, is everyone here? It's Charlie. This is my emotional support, Tiny Pony. We have an amazing class tonight with Amy Bruni. Let me just get situated here. Oh my God, just complete shenanigans right now. Is everyone in here? Everybody ready to do this thing? All right, let me get set up. Okay. Whew. Hi everyone. It's Charlie. I'm here just to let you know that we are starting our class 2 of ghost hunting with Amy Bruni. I'm very excited. Amy's about to come in. I'm not a ghost whisperer myself, but some people have said I'm a bit of a toast whisperer. Terrible joke. Thank you for that. Seeing everybody now. The Q&A and the chat are on, so feel free to chat in here. We'd love to hear where everybody's from. Yep, Louisville. This is so fun. So fun to see people from around the world. Hi from Austin, Walla Walla, Washington, Maryland, Kansas City. It's so cool. All right, so we're just letting people join us now. So they're filing in here. A couple of points of order before we start. If you've never been to a Momentous class before, we are doing meet and greets directly after. So just stick around in here and we'll have everybody exit except for people who have except for people who've purchased a meet and greet. We are covering tonight ghost gadgets and tech. So there will be talk a little bit about EVP, but class 3 is where it's at for EVP. We're going to be talking about getting electronic voice phenomena for ghosts in class 3. So if you didn't purchase that class, make sure you do. We got bundles. We also have the Momentous Plus subscription. So I just wanted to do a little shout out for that. Unlimited classes. September and October, if you're into ghost stuff, is going to be your jam. That's all I'm going to say right now, but we're going to be coming out with some announcements about that. If you do have questions, use the Q&A button as well. We are also, Maud, I would love to, if you could all raise your hand if you have a working camera and mic, we're going to pick 10 people at random to bring you in as front row right now. So if you have a working camera and mic, just hit the raise hand button, which is under reactions at the bottom of your screen, hopefully. Let's just make sure. Yep. Excellent. And we will bring 10 lucky folks in to be part of the front row, and you might be able to interact with Amy and ask some questions as well. But these classes have been so much fun. That class 1 was so much fun, and I don't want to take up too much time because we got a lot of ground to cover, but Amy's rad, you all are rad. We had a great time last time, and we got 2 more classes after this, so tell your friends, and let's get spooky. So I want to bring out Amy here right now, one of the coolest people I've met in quite some time. Hi, Amy.
Hey, hello.
Hey. I have knocked over my drink everywhere. I just want to let you know that we're starting out.
You are really not a good Zoom drinking buddy. You're gonna fail.
I had a lot of practice during COVID, but apparently not. Great. I'm going to get everything set up here for you so that you can do your thing. You. And I will definitely bounce out so we can yeah, so I'm gonna let you take it away, but if again use that Q&A button if you have any questions, and Amy, so glad to have you, and take it away.
Okay. Hey gang, hello. Sorry, I'm looking for, oh, there they are. I'm looking for my front row. I rely on you, front row, to know if my jokes are hitting. Most of the time they are not, but just in case. There you guys are. That's great. Okay. Hey gang. So tonight is the second class we've done in our kind of ghost hunting 101 bundle, and tonight's class is really exciting for me because this is stuff that is ever evolving. These are things that I am constantly learning about, and they are, like I said, ever changing. And so as we kind of learn tonight, as I talk to you about the technical side of paranormal investigation, just know that things that I could tell you tonight could be obsolete in a year, or maybe sooner, who knows. But I've seen things come and go just in the, I've been doing this now for 20 plus years, and I've seen things kind of come and go over the years. And I love hearing from other people and hearing what's working for them. The thing about tech in the paranormal field is that a lot of it is not designed for paranormal investigation, especially in the beginning. We were using tools that were designed for other things and kind of adapting them to paranormal investigation, which I find very interesting. So that was kind of like the EMF stage. Obviously, we're using voice recorders and things like that. And so, before we get into like the actual tools that we use, I just want you guys to think about a couple of things, mainly like why the tech is so important to you. I think that people get very caught up in the idea of tools during investigation. It's become such a huge component of like, paranormal investigation, television, books, even when you go to conventions, people are selling ghost gear. And so you really have to think like, why do I need these things? What do I want to use them for? And they all kind of run the gamut of what they can accomplish for you. So just something to think about. But before we get going too hardcore, I want to bring one of my favorite paranormal investigation tools. That would be the Magic 8-Ball. I'm joking. I actually stole this out of my 10-year-old's room tonight. But I wanted to know how our talk's going to go. So let's see what the Magic 8-Ball has to say. It says, it is decidedly so. So apparently it's going to be great, but that wasn't. How's it going to go tonight, Magic 8-Ball? It says, ask again later. Okay. Like I said, it's never predictable. But anyways.
You're doing great, Amy. And the 8-Ball, don't be daunted by the 8-Ball. Come on.
I was trying to this. Okay, to be fair, do you know where I got all this equipment today? Out of my 10-year-old's bedroom, because she stole it all from me. And so when I saw the Magic 8-Ball next to it, I figured it was clearly something we needed to utilize tonight. So, and it says, don't count on it. That's what it says. So got it. So you guys, first of all, we're going to huck the Magic 8-Ball. Not a good paranormal investigation tool. But anyway, so to get serious, when you're using tech, so to me, I'm going to just give you this kind of warning ahead of time, because I think that sometimes people get very excited to investigate. They get very excited to look for ghosts. And part of that is the technical side of it. And some people get very lost in it, and it's very easy to get lost in it. So tonight, as I tell you all these things, just remember that you can walk into a haunted location, and I've seen this happen, and you could have your camera in front of you and you're looking in the viewfinder, and a full-bodied apparition can walk in front of you, but you're so intent on the tech in front of you that you will miss that very obvious sign of a ghost. And so it's very important to have a healthy balance of personal experience, being in the moment, and not letting this stuff distract you so much that you miss something amazing. Okay, so this stuff's very helpful, but it is just one tool in your toolbox. There is so much that you need to take advantage of. And so like we were saying, if you went to the first class, I really feel like investigating, tech, research, experience, all of those things need to go hand in hand. So, okay. But with that being said, let me just talk really quickly. I want to talk about some of my favorite tools. I also want to talk a little bit about confirmation bias, which I think is very important when you're using things when you're investigating. But I think what I tell people all the time, they're like, what do I do when I get started? I want to investigate. I want to do EVP work. I want to find evidence of ghosts. First of all, I need to think about why you want to find evidence. Do you want to find evidence because you want to prove the existence of ghosts? Do you want to find evidence because you're curious and you want to know what's going on? Or do you want to find evidence because you want to figure out what is happening in a very particular situation? Are you trying to help, people or a business or something along those lines? All of them are very valid reasons, to be honest. So just think about that before you kind of jump in, like, how serious is this? But before you buy anything, just know that everything you need to start your first investigation is right here. It's in your phone. You don't need the Haunted Mansion phone case, but it's highly recommended. But you have a digital voice recorder here with voice memos. You have a camera here. You have a notepad. Like, you literally have like the 3 key things you need right here in your phone. And so I use my phone all the time when I'm investigating or when I'm kind of caught off guard. Like, sometimes I'll walk into a historical location and I'm not there on a, official ghost hunting type visit, but I want to record things and I'll use my camera. Or maybe I'll find myself in a room by myself and I'll use the voice memo and do a quick EVP session. Or maybe I want to make notes. Or maybe I want to take photos. Like, all of that is here. And so don't discount this. You don't need to run out and buy every fancy gadget. Like, there's so much in your pocket. And I think that's really important to remember. So, but that being said, I would say, if you want to kind of take the next step and there's things that you're looking for, I like things that are going to give me information when I'm investigating. I like to have answers. I like names, I like sentences, I like years and dates and all those fun things. And so just a good old digital voice recorder. And now this is one from probably, I don't know, this is like an old Sony. I've had this thing forever. It's probably $20 or $30. What I like about these is that you can make a mark if you've heard something out of the ordinary you want to come back to later. You can record for hours and hours. Some of these you can set to like noise or voice activated, which is really helpful because when you're going back to review your evidence later, if you've got a recorder running for hours and hours, which some people like to do that. Like, I know on Ghost Hunters, we like to have Zoom recorders running, which are like really fancy recorders. They're very sensitive, but you have to listen to those hours of footage. And so, or of recording. So something like this, or something digitally, voice activated, it's just going to record when it hears something, but otherwise, you've got a lot of memory on this. This is kind of the holy grail of recorders. This is a Panasonic RRDR60. These were made in the 90s. It's a complete fluke that these are such a hit. I blame really Adam and me for using them on Kindred so much. This one is broken, unfortunately. So if anybody out there knows how to fix these, this one is dead. But these are voice activated. I don't know why they work so well. As many things in the paranormal, I don't have all the answers, but these tend to get really great results. And I think it has something to do with just, honestly, the low quality of recording that they have. There's something about it where there's like some audible, like pareidolia happening, something you can Google later because that's a whole other class. But I love these, and unfortunately, these run probably $3,000 or $4,000 on eBay, and they're just not in the wheelhouse for most people, including me, which is why I'm just hanging on to this broken one, hoping that it will just magically turn back on one day. But I did want to show it to you because I know you guys see this on the show all the time, and you're like, "What is that fancy recorder?" But again, before you even invest in either of these, please don't forget that you have the voice memo available to you on your phone. Obviously, cameras are big. You see DVR systems set up all the time. You see people taking photos, taking video. I think a lot of that is important in the sense that you are documenting the space, which is really important. If people are saying things are moving, or maybe you come back and something is different, you can go back and you can look at how things looked at a certain point. You can see if someone, like, I was for DVR cameras where we've got some really cool stuff with them. DVR cameras, by the way, are the security cameras that you set up all over a location. And we've caught great things with them, but more importantly, you'll hear a sound somewhere or you'll see something, and you can go back and you can look at that camera and determine what that was exactly. If it was paranormal, amazing. But you can also capture like, hey, did someone stumble into the building? Did one of your teammates happen to like slam the bathroom door? It's just really great to cover your ground. And the same goes for cameras. And so I'm going to talk about that before we get into kind of the more obscure stuff. But people ask a lot about photos, like taking photos of orbs and anomalies. And I would say, just from my personal experience, that photos of a location are probably the most unreliable piece of evidence that you can gather. And that is because most anomalies you catch on camera can be explained in some other fashion. And also, like if you're in an investigation with other people, taking photos with your flash and things can be super distracting. You can ruin everybody's night vision. Almost everything can be explained in some other way, and you're not getting any real information from that. You want to remember your goal. Like your goal is not necessarily to prove that ghosts exist. It's trying to figure out, is there a ghost here, who they are and what they need, and just capturing a very questionable, orb or something is not going to help you in that mission. So I really try to tell people to kind of move away from photos, but documenting a space, yes. Like I love being able to go back to pictures and see, like, if I see something weird on my DVR footage, I can go, wait, I took like 20 photos in that room. Let me see how everything is placed there so I can compare it to this footage. There's never too much documentation, even if you're not necessarily trying to capture something paranormal, like there's never too much. So that being said, when you're trying to communicate with spirits, you're trying to get them to interact with your equipment. Now that's a whole different level. Like obviously we want them to answer questions with recorders, or even with if you're using a video camera and you get audio, which you're more apt to get audio on a video camera. That sounds so 80s. What do we call them now? I don't even know. Our phones. But if you want to get something kind of a little more concrete, like you're trying to get actual information from them, which again, I think the recorder is the best thing. Or you just want them to kind of confirm that they're there. There's a lot of tools in the wheelhouse. So let's pull out a few here. I'm just going to go into this really quick because people ask me about this probably the most. People ask me about the Estes method. This is something that we use. It is otherwise known as the spirit box experiment. It's got a lot of different names. Basically, the idea behind it is we use the spirit box, which is, I'm opening a brand new one, so it's not charged, and this is the S box, which is kind of a more modern version of it. But there is something called the SB7. I don't have that with me, but I use these as well. So basically what a spirit box is it is a radio that scans FM or AM frequencies and kind of creates a white noise from that. And it's total personal preference, how you like, whether you use AM or FM, what speeds you use. Some people do it backwards, some people do it forwards, and all of those controls are on this device. And most of the stuff I'm showing you tonight can be found, by the way, at my friends at ghoststop.com. That's not a sponsored plug. I just love them very much, and that's where I get most of my stuff. But so this is a ghost scanner, they say, but the idea behind it is it kind of creates white noise. And the theory is that spirits can make words and sentences out of it. And so when we first started doing that, we would just set it in the middle of the room and be like, hello, are you here? Can you hear me? And everyone would be like, it said yes, or it said my name is Joe, or whatever. And there was this confirmation bias, right? Like that's something that we talked about in the last class. Like you don't want to let confirmation bias kind of lead your thoughts on what's going on. And so my friends that were a paranormal investigation team at the Stanley Hotel at the time, it was Carl Pfeiffer, Connor Randall, and Michelle Tate. they came up with this really great idea where they would use the spirit box or the S box, and they would use, noise canceling headphones, which these are not, these are my daughter's that I stole from her, and a blindfold. And so someone would listen to the spirit box while blindfolded with noise canceling headphones, and someone else would ask questions. And the person who was listening would just say whatever they heard. And they had no idea what the other person was asking. None at all. And what came from that was really interesting. I would say it's probably the biggest, I would say it's probably just, it has really changed paranormal investigation in the last few years. It's probably been like one of the biggest hurdles we got over, because there's really no explanation for it. And it's really interesting, and you get really great answers from it. And if you've watched Kindred Spirits, my show, you've seen us use this on multiple occasions. I highly recommend people try it. People are always very suspicious of it. And I'm always like, just try it, give it a try. But it's one of my favorite methods while investigating. So you can use the spirit box either on its own, but I do highly recommend using it in a controlled environment to avoid confirmation bias. Let's see, what other toys do I have here? Now, something else people ask me about a lot. All right, we've got a little bit, I'm watching the time this time. Last time I did not. Other things people ask me about a lot are the flashlight technique I used many years ago on ghost hunters, mainly, where we would, line up 2 or 3 different flashlights and ask questions of the flashlights. I will say at that time we used mag lights, and they were fabulous, but mag light since then has switched to all LED lights, and they just don't work the same. But if you do have the old school ones, how we did that was we lined up 3 flashlights, and we would basically set them to where they barely turned on, and like it would take just a little tweak to turn it on. And we would ask spirits to turn them on or off. And occasionally they would come on and then turn off. And so again, I want to speak on confirmation bias, in that you have to be very careful with those situations to not just kind of assume every light on is a ghost and start asking kind of control questions. So before I go to the next, I love the Q&A section. Let me see here. So a lot of people asking about phone apps. I do not use any phone apps for paranormal investigation. Unless I would have to know and trust the developer intensely to use it, especially since, many times I'm going in and, trying to really help people looking for answers. But that being said, there are some apps that aren't really even designed for paranormal investigation that I really like. There's something called the geophone, which measures vibrations. So if you download that, it's like if people claim that they're hearing footsteps in a space, or if you want to detect knocks, that kind of thing, the geophone is great for that. And I've had physical geophones, but there are apps of geophones you can use. So what I would do is I download the geophone on my phone, set it on the stairs, and put my camera on it and wait and see if something walks down the stairs. And if you register footsteps plus your geophone is, lighting up saying it's detecting vibration, that is really freaking cool. So those kinds of things. But so another person's asking, what do you think of using tarot cards or other divination methods to communicate with spirits? So I love that. I'm a really big fan of intention and spirituality and energy and all of those things. And, I am not I use tarot cards on my own, but I am not a tarot card reader. And so I don't know if you're familiar with Greg and Dana Newkirk, but Dana is one of my best friends and she's really great at reading cards. And I've had her on investigations, use her cards to just kind of read the vibe of what's happening. Like, is that going to dictate the end of the investigation? No, but sometimes it just kind of gives you a little insight onto what is going on there, just like you would use tarot cards to use insight into your personal life. So I do love that. But Someone's asking, oh, the SP11, what sweep rate do you use? Do I prefer the SP7 or the SP11? So I think what I have here is the SP. I don't even know. I use the SP7 mostly. This might be the SP11, but I tend to use the SP7 a lot just because I am a creature of habit and I use a forward sweep of 200. So people who have that, oh God, sorry, throwing things. That's what I prefer, but I have been experimenting with the S box quite a bit. I like that I can go forward and backwards. So, it just depends on how, I'm always changing. I can't really give you a firm answer on that, but okay. Charlie, yes.
I just wanted to see if there are any questions too from the front row. If any of you all.
Oh yeah, I know I can't see them all. Oh, there they are.
Wait. There we go. Can everybody see? Yeah. And if you're on mobile, just swipe over and you'll see like a larger gallery. But does anybody in our front row have questions too? We can just take those as well.
Oh, Roseanne has one.
All right, let's get you here. Let's add you here. There we go.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I was curious with the EVPs, kind of how did that start? And I know that it might be a bit to get into the history of it. I'm just wondering if people before digital recorders, like when people were, using cassette tapes or other methods, was that something that existed back then as well?
Absolutely. That's actually where it started well before we had, digital voice recorders. It was something that started with not even just cassette tapes, but like reel-to-reel recorders. So next week when we do, or in 2 weeks, I think we do the EVP class, we'll talk more about that. But yeah, it's historically has been something people have been curious about for quite some time.
Yeah, anybody else in the front row have questions? Yeah, I actually can't wait for EVP. I've seen some really cool EVP content before, and that'll be awesome. Anybody in the front row?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Amy. First of all, big fan of you and Amy of Adam. Cannot wait for the new season of Kindred Spirits. So here's something. Follow you on Twitter. I've replied a lot to your tweets. Well, I guess posts now, but anyway, the question I have for you is this: in terms of early on, we're starting to get into, myself and my wife was out in South Dakota, and we had some investigations in Deadwood, South Dakota, particularly where Wild Bill Hickok was shot. And we think we got an EVP of him. Aside from that, when that happens, it gets to be a little bit exciting and things like that. But from your perspective, for people that are just starting, and again, when you get in there, and I had all my gear, and it's just like what you're saying, it was like to the point of, I don't know which way to go because I got too much equipment.
Mm-hmm.
The phone and things like that. What would you recommend to have as a basic ghost hunting, I guess, toolbox, if you will? I know you talked about your phone.
Mm-hmm.
What other tools do you think, just so people that are just starting can have in their toolbox?
I mean, I really do tend towards a recorder and some form of a video recording device, and yourself. And a flashlight so you don't fall on your face. But I really think, and I'll get into that a little bit more, is that I really feel like it's important to be in the moment and realize that, and I would say this later, but I'll say it now, that the most important tool you have is yourself. I'm not calling all of you tools, but it's very important that you pay attention to how you're feeling and what your gut is telling you over anything that you can hold in your hands. And I think it's really easy to forget that. But, we tell each other that every day in life situations. Trust your gut. If you get a bad vibe, like walk away. If you get a great vibe, like that. Like, it's so similar in paranormal investigation. It's really important to trust the energy and how you're feeling in that moment more than any of these tools can give you. So they're great and they can give you some great validation. But I would say, like, just beginning, like, get a great recorder, get some sort of way to record video, and do your research, which we'll get into, I think, in class 4, and just get in there and experience it and ask questions.
Cool. Thank you. Love that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sherry, anybody else in the front row here have any questions? And we have a couple of things in the Q&A as well.
Oh my goodness. I think Heidi has a question.
Hey, Amy, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. This is kind of a silly question, but it gives me tons of anxiety when I'm watching your show or Ghost Hunters. When you stop in the middle to listen to an EVP, and you hear something or you don't, when you go back to investigating, how do you know where you stopped it to listen so that you're not re-recording over anything?
Oh, well, any recorders, you should be able, it'll just be a new file. And I think that's really important, which we'll talk more about in the EVP class, but it's important when you're recording. I'm a big fan of real-time EVP, which means that you record a session and listen to it in that moment. Because one of the most harrowing things that's ever happened to me was like, I literally did an EVP session and I flew home, across the country, and then listened to it later and heard like a very dire, like begging for help moment. And I was such a jerk that I didn't listen to it right then. So I'm a big fan of doing like 2 or 3 minute sessions and listening to them so you can have a real conversation. But most recorders will just start new files each time and tag it, always tag it. Like, this is, I am here and this is the date, like that's important.
Okay, no more anxiety when I see you doing that. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Heidi. Yeah, and there's a few other questions here, actually. Pull up the Q&A here. Yeah, it's interesting. We're talking about gadgets, and some people are kind of doing the sort of economical fashion. So we use cat balls and light up. Would that be something?
Oh, I have somebody. Oh wait, I brought some. Yes, I love the cat balls. So okay, let me get into the light up stuff because I got it all here. I got all the light up stuff, and I'm going to answer those questions. Okay. So,
Lexi also has a question here, so I'll do that.
Yes.
Hi, Lexi.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there she is. Hey.
Yeah. Hi. I'm curious about Boo Bear. Like, can everybody get one of those, or is there something that you could use like equivalent to one of those?
You mean this?
Yes, I mean that. I really am fascinated by that.
I was going to talk about Boo Bear. Okay, so Boo Bear, I tried to charge mine earlier, but I did not plug him in properly. Let me see. So Boo Bear is available from ghoststop.com. Like I said, I tried to plug him in, but I think I plugged him in wrong because the light didn't come on. But so what Boo Bear is, and I wanted to talk about kind of all these trigger object moments, is that Boo Bear is a very inviting little bear, obviously, and he has an EMF detector in him. He detects temperatures, and he also asks questions during EVP sessions. And the idea between Boo Bear or Boo Buddy is that he is kind of an inviting tool for like if you're dealing with the spirits of children. And he is very much available from ghoststop.com. And there are actually a lot of people who make things like this. And here's the thing, you don't need to buy something that's, got all the bells and whistles like this. It's very handy. But like I have, so right here I have, this is called, this is a paralamp. And so this is basically like if something I'm not a ghost, so I'm not really lighting it up, but you can get things like this and you can set something that is as inviting as Boo Buddy next to it, not necessarily Boo Buddy, but something that will be that will trigger him or trigger something next, like a K2 meter, which is the most basic paranormal investigation equipment that I did not have with me tonight, but I highly recommend it. But things that are going to light up, things that are going to cause a spirit to interact, and something inviting, knowing who that ghost is and what would be interesting to them. So yeah, Boo Buddy is definitely along those lines.
Okay.
Lexi, we do have a question, kind of a general question around equipment that maybe to avoid when starting out. Are there pieces of equipment maybe to not jump into quite yet?
That's a really great question. I mean, to me, I think that it's kind of a building process. Like my advice would be not to go out and buy everything all at once. And I meet people like this all the time who they get very excited and they want to get all the gear, and they just go on and they're like, buy. And to me, it's just a very kind of slow build, and you find out what works for you and what appeals to you. And so my advice would be not to get everything all at once, and not to, there's always people coming out with these new gadgets and new things, and just don't fall for all of it at once. Watch it in process, make sure it's working for other people, ask for advice. I am very much a back to basics kind of equipment type person, but like, like I said earlier with apps and things, don't fall for apps. Like, just really find what works for you. Like, this is a very spiritual thing. And so you're calling on, very technical devices into your spiritual journey. And so be very particular about what you feel good about bringing into that. And there's a lot of pressure on it, really, because if you're trying to get true answers and trying to find out, who a spirit is and what they need, you need the right tools. And it's not just about getting the fanciest, latest gadgets, it's about getting answers.
Pamela, do you have a question?
I do. Hi, Amy.
Hey.
So I was curious about, a lot of people think that, or have the belief that around times like Halloween, the veil is thinner and it's easier for spirits to kind of make contact with us. I was curious if you found in your investigations, if you get more reactions through your tools around that time of the year, or around any time of the year, or if you find that throughout the year, it's pretty consistent.
So what I find is during Halloween, people are thinking about ghosts a whole lot more. And I think that is what it is. I think it's very much like, when it's the 4th of July, no one's thinking about, the haunted castle that they drive by every day. It's like, but suddenly once the air starts to turn and the leaves start to turn, people are very aware of the idea of ghosts and hauntings. And so I think that's why people feel closer to the paranormal that time of year. That's why I tour in September and October. That's when people want to hear from me. Nobody cares about me the rest of the year. And so I think that's very much why people feel like the veil is thinner. There's just way more, they're so much more cognizant of it at that moment. But people who are into the paranormal know it doesn't matter what time of year it is, what time of day it is, the activity will happen when it's meant to. So
thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Emma, Jordan.
Yeah,
Whoa.
A little, what?
Oh, Charlie, you do.
Can you hear me?
You're good.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just to go back to sort of Boo Buddy. Obviously, there's just a ton of things available for investigating of all varieties. Have you run into any issues with using, say, audio-based equipment and then using something like the REM pod, and that overlap between trying to do maybe too many things with too many different pieces of equipment?
Yeah. So I was going to show you guys, I have, for example, with me here, I have the, this is like the paranormal tripwire that everybody, and this thing gets set off so easily. And there's a lot of things like that, even like the paralamp or the REM pod that will get set off by other equipment. And so that's one of the biggest lessons you can learn is that you have to be very aware, if you notice something's going off, start looking around and go, okay, is there something that's setting this off? This is why I always talk about confirmation bias, or control questions. If you think something's communicating with you, ask control questions to make sure it's responding still in an intelligent manner, because some of these are very sensitive. And so you have to be careful as an investigator and just be really, aware of the fact that some things can set these things off. But REM pods are one of the most difficult things for me because I love them because it's kind of my, what I love about investigation equipment like REM pods is it's kind of a set it and forget it mentality. I am only one person. If I'm in a large location, I can't cover it all. So I can set things like Boo Bear or, the paralamp or the REM pod in other areas. And if they go off, I can go there and wonder, like, is there something paranormal happening there? But like, if it's happening with frequency and clearly being caused by something else, you have to figure that out. And that's part of being an investigator. You have to be able to rule out things and figure out what's paranormal versus what's not paranormal. And some people suggest things like turning off your phones, and it's like, you just have to be able to figure it out. That's part of doing what we do. And so, yeah, things will interact and interfere with each other, and you'll learn very quickly. But it's up to you to realize that, because I see people who are so intent on everything being paranormal that they won't rule things out. And I think that's very important.
Well, this is, I feel like we've gotten so many good recommendations. We'll definitely send out a link to watch this later and to get learn where to get this equipment and what equipment's been recommended. There's also people asking to create a group around this. We do have a Facebook group for Momentous, and we can create a thread around that if you all want to connect together. But also go to Amy Bruni's site, follow her social. There's a lot of people chatting with Amy on social, and so you can find. And our mod has put up all of your links to your stuff.
Oh, look at her go.
Yeah, come down to, and we may even do a little bit of a segment around sort of the paranormal. And we've got a lot of people from, whether it's the show Supernatural, which I think I'm allowed to say by SAG rules, and then so ghost hunting and kindred spirits. There's a lot of people with like-minded interests in that Facebook group right now, but we'll see about carving something out for y'all, because there's a huge interest, and I feel like it's only going to increase, because everything, if you just believe in yourself. That's Amy's new tagline.
Just believe in yourself.
Well, okay, so we're gonna move on to our meet and greets, but I just wanted to say a couple things real quick. Class 3 is coming up in a couple of weeks. EVP specifically, anything you can tease out about that EVP class?
Well, we'll definitely build on some of the things we learned tonight. It's really going to be about kind of how to endear yourself to ghosts, and also what tools to use and what questions to ask in order to get really thorough, thoughtful answers from them.
Yeah, people are asking, can you share any EVPs during the next class? I
have some good ones.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us and having your moment with us. We are going to move on to meet and greets now. So our mod is going to start to have everyone exit. Thank you again to everyone who joined. Such a rad group of people. Thank you for being so positive and kind in the chat and your great questions. Again, we got class 3 and 4. We've got our EVP class and then our research class, which is going to be, I think, my favorite. I can't wait to learn more about researching. My mom grew up in Sleepy Hollow, where the Headless Horseman lived. So I want to learn how to research that area myself. Anyway, thanks to everybody for coming. We're going to start ejecting people out of the escape pods now, and then use the fore and after the vehicle to get out. Keep your arms and legs in the
Thank
vehicle.
you, everybody.